Hi everyone, welcome to Life in the Making. You might be wondering, why is she posting a vegetable garden video this late in the season? Well, this year I tried a few new things in the garden which were very successful and resulted in abundant crops, so I thought I'd share those with you in case you aspire to start your own garden next year. So as you see, I have already divided the area into smaller beds and added bricks for walkways in between. This way, cleaning, clearing, and walking around the garden is much easier and more manageable. Also, the brown leaves and the wood chips that you see in the garden right now are from last year. As the season wind down last year, I was trying to prep the area for this year, so I actually raked all the leaves from the yard and put them in these beds and covered those leaves with the wood chips to make it turn into compost and enrich the soil for the next season. And this part of the video was filmed back in April, and as you see, I have here parsley and cilantro, and these winter over for me every year for the past few years. So let's go through the few changes that I made that made the crops more abundant this year. The first thing I did was that I created channels for watering so that the hard municipal water that's full of salts and chemicals does not touch the leaves. As you may know, the leaves are the main organ that receives and turns sunlight into plant food. And I think that the residue from hard water on those leaves might block the process. So, running the water in those channels helped a lot in keeping the plants healthy and more productive. The second change I made was that I amended the soil. I removed the top 6-inch layer of the soil and added organic planting soil from Costco. This made such a great difference in the plant's growth because we had been planting this veggie garden in this same spot for the past 4 years. And although I was alternating the different blocks, for example, if I plant tomatoes in one block this year, next year I'll plant that block with something else. But even with that, I found that amending the soil elevated the plant's growth. And you'll find I'm not the only one talking about amending the soil. You'll find a lot of people on YouTube are addressing the same thing, that as soon as they amended the soil, they found a big difference with the growth. And if amending the soil is not part of your budget, then my suggestion would be what I said before, which is divide your lot into smaller blocks where you plant something in one block this year. You don't plant the same thing in the same block. You alternate, you plant something different in that block next year. And that will help too because each plant requires certain nutrients from the soil that the other plant might not need. On to the third change. So, I've been watching gardeners on YouTube for a few years now, and many of them advise to eliminate branches and leaves off the bottom of the plant in order to focus its energy on growing the existing crops. I don't think this is true. I think this is a myth, and I don't necessarily think it gives you more or better crops. And so this year, I did not cut or eliminate anything off my plants. And I tell you, I have more abundant crops than ever. I also did some companion planting this year. As you see, I planted tomatoes in between the parsley and the cilantro beds because the parsley and cilantro are low and the tomatoes grow tall. That's why I wanted to take advantage of the height and planted those tomatoes in between the parsley and cilantro. Now, let me turn the camera to the other side to show you the other secret of abundant garden, which is keeping your pollinators close. So this is the other side of the lot. I have a walkway separating the garden from the small area where I plant different heights of flowers, from roses to lilies to columbine and several different wildflowers, to bring as many pollinators to this area as possible. Also, all the plants came from organic seeds that I potted and germinated in the greenhouse and transplanted them into the garden the morning of Mother's Day. So I took this footage back in May, and it was a few days after Mother's Day. I think it was a couple days after Mother's Day when we actually had a lot of rain, and we've been blessed with a very good amount of rain throughout June and July, and it actually became dry in August and now in September. But this is a holistic look at what the garden looked like a few weeks after planting. And I think that we have at least another month to work in our gardens and make them look nicer and prepare the garden to have a better season next year. So this footage was taken on Memorial Day, just a couple weeks after I planted the garden. And look at how big the plants became in 2 weeks. Literally, all the changes that I made to garden had a great impact on my plants from the get-go. And this next footage was taken back at the end of July. There is an abundance of cucumbers. Look at the cucumbers here. They look so good and they were so very tasty. There was also an abundance of different kinds of peppers and tomatoes. Um, Here are the eggplants. They looked so beautiful and they were so tasty, and they did not have as many seeds as the one that you buy from the market do. The zucchinis were also abundant and large this year. We had so many more zucchinis than we had last year for sure. Look at the Swiss chard. I mean, I had harvested half of the Swiss chard that morning, and then I just left the back half to show you how much Swiss chard we had this year. And I usually freeze a lot of Swiss chard. We always have abundance of Swiss chard every year, and I usually clean, cut, and freeze some of it to have it handy during the winter, so we can eat fresh organic Swiss chard all winter long. I also planted so many different kinds of tomatoes. Here are some of the San Marzano's tomatoes, and I also planted beef tomatoes and some cherry tomatoes, and everything was very tasty and very abundant. Now, let me show you. Here is the end of the season for the cilantro, and I have cilantro blooming for me twice or three times each season. And that's because I let the plants go to seeds, and then I let those seeds dry on the plant. And all I do is I take those seeds, shake them in back into the soil, and then cut the plants back to the ground and let those seeds grow back again into the second fresh harvest of cilantro for the season. And here's the parsley. And in my opinion, the more you harvest parsley is the more you get. I hope that you enjoyed this video today. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss future videos. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.